Good morning from Snake Mountain Boat Works on Wednesday, August 24. The wood has finally reached a moisture content where we can work on it, and John is spending this morning fabricating a new gripe, and I will simply hand it off to him.
Okay, when we took the old gripe out, the front here sprung up just a little bit. So I've noticed that to get that all nice and tight, I have to lift the gripe up in the back. But instead of doing that, and instead of pulling it together with bolts and taking a chance of snapping it off at the grain, what I'm going to do is refabricate the new piece about a 1/4 inch taller and enough to fill in this gap right here so that it all sits down nice in place, and this front part actually sits in real nice and tight, so that when I'm all together I'll have a nice tight seam like when I pick this up. So then I take the gripe over here onto the new piece of wood, and you set this in place, and I locate the best spot for it without the knots. And it's a pretty nice piece of wood. There's a couple of knots in it, small knots that I'm going to miss. But like I said, when I put this down on here and I scribed around it, then I measured how much I was missing right here, and I just floated this up. I'm going to rough it in by drawing that out. I drew this out after I lifted the gripe up a little bit. Added a little bit to the height here. It's just, like I said, roughed in right now. It'll get sanded in to the same as the boat later. And what I'm going to do is, the board is quite wide for our planer, so I'm going to cut this out, leave it a little bit long, then I'm going to plane it. That way where the planer ends, it doesn't affect the size of the gripe. So there you have it. I'm going to start cutting on that.
So now we go back to old school with the jigsaw. There's the first step, huh, John?
Yep. We have to jigsaw it out. And it might be a while, and it might not be pleasant, because it's a real thick piece of wood.
And it's solid white oak on top of that.
Solid white oak.
John's using the vacuums and scavenge the sawdust away. Trying to do our best to keep the environment in here So we'll leave John to keep sawing and be back to you in a while when we've got the beginnings of some results. John's made quite a bit of progress in the last several hours, and you can see from the floor that there's some scrap and what looks like the beginnings of a new gripe.
After I cut it out with a jigsaw, and roughed it in with a jigsaw, I ran it through the planer. Of course, our board was a little wide for the planer, so I had to narrow it down and then figure out what angle to send it through, and planed it down to the same thickness as the old one. And then I roughed it in a little closer with a jigsaw after mapping it back out, because I sanded all I planed all my marks off, so I mapped it back out. Then I cut it in a little closer with a jigsaw and a skill saw where I could use a skill saw. And now I'm going to go over and finish it up on the belt sander and bring it into the lines, and then it'll be roughed in enough so that I can put it in the boat and figure out my outside, the outside of it. So that's where we're at.
Well, there we are. Thank you so much. Goodbye for now from Snake Mountain Boat Works.